Hi guys and welcome back to the Colour Cave. It's Jem here and today I am tackling the Colours of the Month from Copic and it is a 3 marker challenge. So here are the colours we were lumped with this month and let me tell you, I did not have a clue what I was going to do. So I am working on Spectrum Noir cardstock here and I have done my usual and I have diluted some of the Copic ink with some Surgical Spirit. So there is no sketch work, I did no preliminary sketching here just so that you know that. And after having a bit of a fart about in my sketchbook, I just decided I would crack right on. It's very difficult to come up with something where these colours are relevant, so you tend to have to go for either something completely wacky or kind of augment something and try and make them fit. And I tend to favour more realistic drawings and paintings. And I kind of went into like a default safe mode because I was using colours that I would never normally touch. I can say hand on heart that these 3 Copic markers have never touched paper other than to be swatched out. So I kind of like, I don't know whether I was just in like panic mode, but I thought, oh, I need to do something that I know because otherwise I don't really know what I'm going to do with these markers for this challenge. So going into that sort of comfort zone, I think sort of helped ease me and ease my mind a little bit. And I went about, basically I painted this the way I would paint a watercolour, except I had obviously the inks diluted in certain concentrations. So the way that I do it is I just tend to build up layers. Now this paper's great, it takes loads of this stuff, it takes a lot of abuse. And as I say, I just started with really light washes and then started building up on top. And it's one of the really fun things about these Copic markers is if you build layers of colour, the colour does become more intense and it can give you quite nice effects. You can see my grass poking up over the horizon there, you can actually see it. And it also lends itself a bit of texture depending on how dry or wet you have your brush. So I wanted to keep the sky quite blotchy to give that impression of maybe some clouds and things, you know, floating about in there. So yeah, that was kind of good fun. So the colours actually worked better than I thought they would, because after playing about for a bit, if you stick blue on top of this sort of neon pink, it gives you a lovely shade of purple, which was really helpful. And also when I go back to, it is supposed to be a field of barley or, you know, something of that ilk, a crop. Seeing it as harvest time is very fitting just now. And when you layer the pink over the top of that yellow, it gives you a really vibrant orange. So if you're going to do something like this with markers, it's a really good idea to try and layer them over the top of each other just to see what other colours you can make, because it really expands what you're able to do in terms of creating a piece of art. So this is the fun bit, I always enjoy this bit, these flicky lines that make it look just a little bit more like water. So I was fair, like I was steaming on with this picture. I was like, yes, okay, my river's starting to look like a river, my sky looks like sky, and okay, my wheat field or barley field or whatever it is looks a bit radioactive, but under the circumstances I was actually quite pleased. And I tried to use the brush tip on the Copic sketch markers as much as possible to get that variation in the sort of texture and the lines that I was actually putting on the paper. And it was all going rather swimmingly, and I thought, yeah, I've got this. And I was beginning to think to myself, yeah, these markers really aren't that bad, because when I started to lay down the different colours on top of each other, it gave me something a bit more sensible and a bit more what I would be used to on a sort of regular basis. But as I went along, I became increasingly dissatisfied with what I was seeing. Now, I'm not saying I don't like this picture, I do like it, but it is incredibly safe. And I hate to say it, cavers, but I have fallen into that trap of playing it safe. I didn't think that had happened so early on in someone's art career, but I have opted for the easy way out. And it really started to play on my mind. And the more I looked at the picture, the less I liked it. So I got mad. And then I felt stupid. And then I decided to start again at 9 o'clock at night. So here is the second illustration. I am using the same markers, it's still the 3 marker challenge. I am using the same colours, but I wanted to push myself. I am a person that gets satisfaction from learning, and I can honestly say when I finished the landscape picture, I felt unfulfilled is probably the best word. And I knew that I was capable of more than that. And I really wanted to get that sense of achievement that I normally feel when I do challenges, especially challenges with markers. So I'm now introducing to you Hector, the camel. I have a little bit of a soft spot for camelids in general. Some of you know that we have llamas and they are very closely related to camels. Don't ask me why I decided on a camel. I think when I saw the yellow diluted, I thought, oh, that looks like a camel colour. So maybe that's, I don't know. Yeah. Why not? Why not? Anyway, so having the pink and the blue as well, I wanted to be able to incorporate them in, so because I knew that I was going to use the yellow for his coat. And I thought, well, what's funnier than a camelid with big goofy teeth, because they all have these teeth. You know, they don't have perfect pearly whites like us humans. And I was like, what could be funnier than that? And I'm like, I know what could be funnier than that. Camel with squint teeth and a fez. Surely that's got to be worth something. So my little friend Hector and I, we had a bit of a sketch out, and I was desperate to use my Micron pens because I haven't actually inked a lot of my drawings recently. I've done a lot of kind of like loose pencil sketches, but I've very rarely had like a finished sketch that I've inked. So I got out my teeny tiny, well, not my teeny tiniest microns, these are the 005, so the smallest but one. And I really wanted to just get some line work and some hatching, and yeah, just do something a bit more complicated rather than just splashing colour onto a piece of paper with a paintbrush, which, let's face it guys, I have spent most of the last couple of months doing. I've got my giddy on with paintbrushes. So I really feel that this reflects my actual drawing style. I would say the last one reflects my painting style, but this is very close to my my non-realistic drawing style, and it's been ages since I've done something like this. So I feel that this is a better representation of my skills and my artwork, and I think I'm comfortable enough now with Copic markers to be able to do a reasonable job of colouring it, which obviously I'm just not quite as confident yet as I was beforehand. Look at those nostrils, they're awesome. So this is the next day. You can see the lights changed a little bit. I hadn't really figured out how to incorporate the blue into it, so I decided to do a background like Looney Tunes introductions to their cartoons, you know, where they have the star of the cartoon and they have that sort of big burst of colour behind them and their face kind of pops out. Or was it Disney that did that? I think it might have been Disney. Anyway, that's kind of like what I wanted to do, because this is supposed to be, you know, a slightly funny illustration, and I just thought that would kind of set it off nicely, and I didn't want to busy it up too much, but I didn't just want this head, you know, with a white background. So I think I put the blue to reasonable use there. And here we go with the yellow, and as you can see, it is beautifully camel coloured. So by this point, although this was me into like hour 3. Yeah, 3 hours? Yeah, 3 hours of doing this 3 marker challenge and filming, but I was so much happier at this point because I just felt like such a sellout after I'd finished the first piece, and I felt as if I was actually doing something and I didn't feel so much as a fraud, and I had great fun doing this. It's one of those images that just makes me laugh. I can't help it. I know they say a fool laughs at their own jokes, but does a fool laugh at their own drawings? I don't know. The only thing that kind of like spoiled this a little bit for me was because the yellow marker in its raw form is very fluorescent, and it kind of like, I tried to keep it as delicate as possible, but there's only so delicate you can be with a fluorescent marker, let's be realistic. So I kept the neat marker to a minimum when I was using the yellow, because I felt quite happy with the way that the shading and everything had turned out and the way that I'd layered up the dilute ink, and I just didn't want to ruin it at the last minute. But I think this has been a really important lesson for me in that as I continue through my art journey, and I'm no longer really at the novice stage, I think I'm kind of past that now. I just feel like I have to start pushing myself a bit more, because one of the reasons that I like to art is I like to learn all the time. And if I'm not constantly pushing myself, I get bored really, really easily. And there is so much for me to learn. You know, I'm still really early into my art journey. But I think if I don't push myself, if it isn't self-propelled, if it isn't self-motivated, then am I going to get stuck in this stale rut of just spitting out the same images, the same artwork over and over? Because I certainly don't want that. And I don't want that for the channel or you guys either. Anyway, so I hope that you may have learned a lesson from this. I hope you have. As I say, I'm always here to make mistakes so you don't have to. And I am really, really satisfied with these final images, although obviously I'm much more satisfied with Hector than I am with my multicolour swap shop sunset overfield thing. Anyway, if any of you have any comments, you know, I always welcome them. You can give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.